What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 285 of the Xbox Drive. I'm one of your hosts, the Ryan Turford, the weatherman on the moose. And again, I'm keep trying to balance this intro with the RPG Cave intro, and it's not working anymore. And I am joined for the first time, I think, ever on the show. If not, we were probably on a review discussion once, Seth, but otherwise, the bearded one, Seth Sturgill, joins me on the show. Welcome to the show, Seth.
Hi, Ryan. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I was maybe... We did something with like me, you, and Court at one point or another, but this is, in any case, the first time I've ever been here, just you and I, you know, and I'm very happy to be here, my friend.
Yeah, in fact, like, I don't think you and I have ever done a podcast where it's just you and I on the podcast.
Just us.
Yeah, because I've been on Nintendo Drive once, you know, to talk about Fire Emblem with you, Sean, and Lockleth, but like, you and I have never done a show together. So this is kind of weird to think about.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah. But it's going to be fun, Seth. I promise.
I'm excited.
Fun and games on this week's Xbox Drive. It's going to be a lot of fun. So folks at home, if you want to get in on the fun yourselves, you can, of course, support the show in a number of awesome ways. But, of course, if you're watching the live stream right now over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and then ding, 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 ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we do a live stream like this one, or whenever we put up a new video on the channel, just like Carpool Gaming Weekly, which of course Seth and Court have been nailing. Of course, huge thank you to them for them. Of course, again, whenever we promote the YouTube stuff, I always like to promote a cool video that's on the channel.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you're listening on the audio feeds, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and then of course, leave us a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And then last but not least, if you want the show's audio a little bit early, or if you want some exclusive content, you can head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming, throw a little tip in the old tip jar, and out comes content. Well, without further ado, Seth, it is time to grab our 8-tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist, and we got to talk about the games we're playing this week. So, Seth, start us off. You know, I know you're usually in Nintendo land, but did you play anything on Xbox this week? If not, you talk about, you know, PC or other consoles here as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting, Ryan. I do normally live in Nintendo land. I dabble with Xbox stuff whenever something in my purview sort of enters it. Whenever there's something that's sort of like kind of coming into my field of view, and I was sick, really sick recently. Played a bunch of the Diablo 4 beta. I played it on my PlayStation, but you know, it's coming to Xbox.
It still works.
And so, yeah, it still works. It counts. And so I have this insatiable appetite for Diablo now, Ryan. I just want more Diablo because there's maybe no better game to play when you're laid up and sick and unable to do anything than Diablo. So I ended up putting like over 20 hours into the Diablo 4 beta, which I know you're like even more, but man, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And so I was looking for a place to like sort of angle my Diablo love after that. And I've already played so much Diablo 3, like there's nothing further for me to do in that game. Mm-hmm. So I wound up picking up Diablo 2 Resurrected, and I've been playing a bunch of that.
Nice.
And just things have been really busy covering like the Mario movie and stuff like this. But whenever I have some time for gaming, it has been Diablo 2 Resurrected. I'm partying like it's 2000, maybe just 2000. I don't remember what year that game came out.
It was 2000, I think. I'm pretty sure it was 2000. Yeah. So you were pretty much right on the dot, Seth.
Yeah, and it's been really fun. Like I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I've just been playing a necromancer, like a summoner necromancer build, and having a good time with it, man. Like it's, you know, the game in a lot of ways, it's an old game. So like it's got a lot of those old design philosophies. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to like newcomers in 2023. Yeah. But if you're somebody like you or I who is very nostalgic for Diablo 2, it's pretty great. Kind of dig it.
Nice. Yeah, it's one of those things where that's one of those games that, you know, is definitely not for newcomers, but it's also, I'm glad that they basically preserved the original game as is, as closely as humanly possible, while adding, you know, controller support and some other, you know, quality of life improvements. Because I like the idea where they didn't try and make it super accessible or change it in a bunch of big ways. Like I liked that their approach to Diablo 2 Resurrected, because it kind of reminds me of what they did with StarCraft Remastered on PC when that came out as well, where they really didn't really they tuned up some of the graphics, they changed up some of the music if you wanted some, you know, optional new music for StarCraft, but otherwise it was basically the same core experience that you knew and loved from back in the day, with all of its, you know, old school quirks that kind of came along with it, where you can only select 12 units at once. And you got to throw them into other groups on your keyboard in order to manage all your guys at that point. But
oh, dude, yeah, we're putting our town scroll portals into a book to save inventory space. We're individually identifying all of the little items, or going back to Deckard Cain so he can be like Diablo, and I'm gonna identify your items. We're doing all that. Just like, look, dude, we're turning the clock back 23 years, man, and it's been a good time. I've been thoroughly enjoying it.
Nice. That's awesome, Ben. So, as for me, Seth, I didn't play a lot on Xbox this week because I'm kind of in a bit of an in-between period right now, where there isn't like a big game that I'm really wanting to play right now, because when I did the RPG Cave with Garrett this week, where we did kind of the RPG preview for Q2, and I realized there's so many games coming out just this month, let alone next month. I'm like, I don't want to start anything big right now, because I'm kind of like in that week where I'm waiting for one or two big releases to come out in the next week or two before starting anything big. But I did play a couple things. So first off, the Trial is out for EA PGA Golf Tour. This is the new golf game from EA, you know, taking over the Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy kind of mantle here. The game is actually out today, by the way, the day where we're actually recording this. But I played it a couple days ago because, again, the 10-hour trial is out as part of Game Pass, because I wanted to try out, because I do like golf games, especially like I did like playing the Tiger Woods games a lot back in the day, and I haven't been super impressed with 2K's golf offerings, but I'm also, you know, the very casualist of casual golf players. Like, I don't like watching golf at all in real life. Like, I like playing golf video games because I think they're fun, even though I'm not personally interested in the sport of golf or watching it. And I actually had a pretty good time with the demo. So of course, it's all themed around the Masters, because the EA is trying to make the big deal with this game, because they have the license to the Masters, which is of course the big championship that happens in golf every single year. And they have a lot of the PGA players, but they don't have all of them, because they have this weird split between, you know, 2K has the license for like half the PGA players, and then like EA has the license to the other half. So it's like kind of like this weird kind of wrestling split between Raw and, you know, SmackDown. You're kind of seeing the same thing, but with golfers, which is just weird to see. But man, just the presentation was really solid. Like, I love, you know, the transitions with like that they do between all your shots, and I love the being able to use the right analog stick to shoot all your shots, and the way kind of how that all the shot aiming works. I thought that was really cool. My only downside is I'm terrible at putting in this game. I'm getting better, but you know, I'm out there playing like Happy Gilmore, Seth, where I'm able to get to the hole very easily, but getting it in the hole is kind of, you know, the tough part. So
it's all in the hips. It's all in the hips, Ryan.
Clearly that's what's going on here. But honestly, I'm having a pretty good time with it. I don't know if this is a game I pick up. This might be a game that I kind of wait for it to come to Game Pass, because all of the EA Sports games do at some point. We're going to actually talk about another one a little bit later in the show, so stay tuned for that. But I'm interested in playing more of this game, but I think this is kind of like a wait for sale, at least, or just wait for Game Pass, I think, for me personally. If you're not like super into golf, you're probably waiting for that. Of course, if you want more golf opinions, check out PSVG with Donnie, because I'm sure Donnie has lots to say about this game, because he's like the person I trust when it comes to golf games or just golf talk, because he's very much ingrained in the golf ecosystem. But
holy moly, I love it. I'm not a big golf guy, but I mean, look, I love Mario Golf, I love everybody's golf, but I get the sense that this is probably more like simulation golf versus arcadey golf. It
is, but you can actually, there's an arcade setting you can turn it on to make it more arcadey if you like that. Because I'm also in the same boat, Seth. I'm more of the arcadey golf kind of person, because I love Mario Golf. In fact, it was so disappointing when Mario Golf came out on Switch because I was so excited for it. And then, that version was not great. But which is why, like, that's why I'm actually kind of digging this one, because I do like playing it in arcade mode and just having like a blast with a golf game. So
nice.
Yeah. But,
all right.
So we got that. Otherwise, on PC, I'm playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14. You don't need me to talk more about Final Fantasy 14 on this podcast because I've been talking about it bajillion times. Where I'm at like 50 to 60 thousand hours in this game at this point, Seth. So it's
what?
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours.
I've played at least over a year of my life in Final Fantasy 14 at this point.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never dared to confront my old WoW numbers, but it's probably around there.
My WoW numbers are actually a little bit less, but they're about the same. It's also a year of my life in World of Warcraft too. So, in fact, I famously on Twitter a couple of years ago, Seth, posted a pie chart that I made, where I actually broke it down by hours played by class, and then also gave my actual WoW time. And that was, of course, just from when Wrath of the Lich King came out, when I had to change accounts, because I'd been playing since Vanilla's beta. So, I've spent over a year of my life with World of Warcraft, which is kind of crazy. But also to continue a bit that's been happening on this show the last couple of weeks, where I, of course, I'm in the mood for NES games, Seth, and I don't have another outlet for this. Yeah. So y'all have to hear about it here. Have you ever played Mission Impossible on NES, Seth?
Oh my goodness, I have not. I like that artwork though.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like that a lot.
This is actually this game is based off the TV show Mission Impossible, because of course this famously came out before the movie came out, and it's like a top down like beat 'em up style game where you're kind of going. It's like an open world where you're in the city and you have to go into different bars to get information, or you have to go into the sewers to stop these thugs from trying to take over the city. It's actually like a really interesting and cool game. Very difficult, but man, I had a blast playing this game, and I never played it before. It's from Konami, so the music and the graphics are really good. I mean, it says Ultra on here, but of course, famously, Ultra just means Konami because they needed an extra publishing label to publish more than 2 games a year. But I thought this game was super cool, and I actually have a video about this coming up, so I'll actually save most of my talk for that, because I do have something interesting that I'm doing with this in particular. That's actually going to be out next week, so you'll have to stay tuned to the channel for that. But Mission Impossible on NES, fun game that I was not expecting to like. So there you go, 3 weeks in a row: Monopoly on NES, Duck Hunt,
I love it,
and then now Mission Impossible. So there you go.
Love it, dude.
There's your Ryan's NES update. But let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It is time for some breaking news, and we got some interesting stories this week, Seth. And I'm interested to hear your opinion on some of those. First off, we got to start with one that just came to light today, this morning. In fact, we'd heard rumblings about this yesterday from some people on Twitter, but we officially got confirmation from Microsoft today about this. Microsoft has blocked the use of emulators in retail mode. Emulators are still accessible in dev mode, so you can still access them and be able to play them on your Series X or S. But for those that haven't been keeping up with the story, basically what you can do is, if you purchase the license to turn your console into a dev mode console, you can load emulators like Dolphin or RetroArch on your Xbox Series S or S through dev mode, which is totally something that they're okay with, because it is still a legal practice as far as being able to load emulators on your console. There's no legal precedent against that. But the what came into play here was that Microsoft apparently has been receiving some legal action. One of the companies that's been highlighted in this whole conversation is Nintendo, kind of pushing back on this, and it basically caused them to remove the ability to use this in retail mode. But you can still use all these in dev mode, and Microsoft says that's not going to change, because they highlighted that there's also other security concerns they have with some of these emulators in retail mode, which also kind of spurred this change on. But Seth, I got to ask you about this, because this is a really interesting thing that kind of came out of nowhere, because emulators have been part of Xbox One dev support for the longest time, where Microsoft really hasn't kind of batted an eye at this until now. So I want to hear from you. What do you think about this news story?
Yeah, the pushback from Nintendo thing is interesting to me. And Nintendo in general has been cracking down more in recent weeks on emulation and modding. There's a really popular YouTuber, Point Crow, who has been getting a lot of his modded Breath of the Wild videos demonetized and stuff. Nintendo has been kind of I don't know where this has sort of come from, this sort of like renewed interest in cracking down on emulators and modders and stuff like this. But Nintendo has had sort of a long-standing history of being against this kind of thing. But to the point about like utilizing it for developer purposes, developers use it all the time. In fact, even when Nintendo was developing their NSO apps, they developed them using emulation. People were looking at like the commonly used flash carts and flash ROMs that were being used, like the ones that Nintendo specifically like cracks down against, they were using themselves to develop. So it seems a little bit backwards to me. I think it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It doesn't necessarily surprise me.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, yeah, you would have expected this would have happened eventually. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised that when, we got news stories blowing up when the Series X and S came out, where this was a thing, I'm surprised this actually didn't happen then. Like, I'm surprised that they waited till now, like almost 3 years into the console life cycle to then, kind of pull the plug on this. And again, this is something that this isn't just new to Series X and S. Like, this is going back to, Xbox One, like when the Xbox One S came out. This, people were loading RetroArch onto it with, no issue in dev mode. So it's weird, to your point, Seth, like, why now of all
Yeah,
things?
why now?
Yeah. And we only know that it is that Nintendo is part of this because in a statement from an Xbox support representative to Modern Vintage Gamer on Twitter about this, they specifically cited that, legal challenges with Nintendo was one of the reasons why this was spurred on. So there is some confirmation on our end. We're still waiting to hear more because, Nintendo hasn't issued a statement or anything like that as far as more official details on this. But yeah, it's really interesting, especially because like the Series S or S was like one of the best places where you could emulate, GameCube games or Wii games or, other consoles. So it's just weird that that's no longer going to be an option, at least in retail mode. But obviously, again, in dev mode, you can kind of do whatever you want in there anyways. So, I mean, if you still want to continue to do this, because I actually have this installed on my Series S myself, Seth. So, but that console I just usually just leave in dev mode the entire time anyways. I usually don't, because you can switch back and forth between retail mode and dev mode, and I kind of just leave it in dev mode constantly. So I think that's just what I'm going to continue to do at this point. But there you go. So moving on, we got a brand new Xbox controller. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. We usually don't talk about new Xbox controllers when they get announced, because there's a new one announced like every 2 weeks. But this one's really interesting because we actually have the Remix Special Edition controller, which may appear to be the same as every other Series X controller on the surface, but it's made of 100% recycled parts, from CDs to water jugs to old controller parts, they were saying in the article. Also, to keep the package eco-friendly, the controller comes with a play and charge kit, so you don't need AA batteries to use your controller. The Remix Special Edition controller will release on April 18th for $84.99 US. And again, if that price seems high, it's because it includes the play and charge kit, which is usually a $20 add-on. So you're getting a little bit of a cheaper price with like the controller and play and charge bundle. But again, I thought this was super cool, just in time for Earth Day coming up, in a couple weeks. Releasing an eco-friendly controller is like a really smart and interesting move. And the controller itself, like, I like the design of it. I like the colors.
Me
like
too.
It's got, a couple layers of green, and some interesting buttons. And what do you think about this? Because I think this is pretty cool.
I'm right there with you. I think it's super cool. I do love the look of it. Like, I like that kind of like earth tone, like that green and brown kind of look to it. I like the like ridges and swirls on it. Like, I'm interested to see how it like feels in the hand. I think I'm probably gonna pick one of these up, man. Like, I've been looking for a new kind of Xbox controller. I've been using my Forza one, and it's nice. But I definitely have been looking for something a little more, a little less loud, I should say, Ryan. A little less pink and yellow, and so I think this might fit the bill. And I really like what they're doing here. This is a neat idea, eco-friendly. I feel like everybody should do this.
Yeah.
Like, just make it a standard practice.
I'm actually kind of surprised this is something we don't see more people doing or more people trying. Like, and it's one of those things too, where for me, I'm only not, in line to pick this one up because I do have a deluge of controllers at this point. Like, I can't really, I don't have more space for more controllers at this point, Seth. So it's just one of those things where I'm the type of person that would normally pick this one up. And I might still actually, thinking about it, I might pick one up eventually to kind of support the idea of doing something like this. Because I do think, this is a really good initiative, and I would love to see more of this type of thing. And of course, we've always seen kind of Microsoft be at the forefront with, trying new things with controllers. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But imagine if we got Joy-Cons that were, eco-friendly like this, Seth. What would they even look like?
You could literally make Joy-Con out of recycled garbage, and it would be better than the Joy-Con we have.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, I mean, you never know. You could put in some recycled sticks that would have drift on them, Seth. So you never know.
Maybe.
Yeah. But maybe they sell it as like the pre-drift version, so you're gonna get drift eventually. You may as well just buy the controllers with drift right out of the box.
Pre-drifted, pre-tested for drift.
Yes,
confirmed. Exactly. I'd rather know.
Exactly. All right, moving on. And this one I know led to a lot of disappointment online, but we're gonna read it anyways. So we had heard rumors that a custom Diablo 4 console bundle was coming, similar to the Halo Anniversary bundle that was gonna have like a Diablo console that was all kitted up to look like Diablo 4. But we got the announcement of the bundle, and in fact, it's just a normal Xbox Series X bundle with Diablo 4 coming on June 6th with the game, and of course include a Series X console and a copy of Diablo 4's just base version for $559.99 US, which is, again, it's a little bit of a discount by like $10, but you're not really saving, too much money on this particular package, which again, like, I'm actually kind of surprised people kind of ran with this and thought that this was going to be a Diablo custom console in a way, because I wasn't expecting that. Like, I'm actually kind of surprised they even did the Halo one when they did, the limited edition Halo console. But I think, if you want a Series X and you don't have one already and you're interested in getting Diablo 4, like, I think, this is a pretty good deal if you, don't have a console already. But I mean, I don't have really too much to say about this other than, just keep your expectations in check, I guess.
I think that's a good call. I'm a little surprised, to that we're just talking about controllers and how often they put out controllers. Where's the Diablo 4 custom controller?
Yeah, that's true.
Like that to me would make more sense. I'm not necessarily shocked that they didn't do some, Diablo 4 Xbox with like Lilith's horns attached to it or something like that. But a controller would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that actually kind of surprised me that they don't. Maybe that they are saving that for later. Seth.
Maybe we still have time.
Yeah, there's still time for a Diablo controller because they tend to announce those closer to when the game comes out anyway. So you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Just like, there was the leak in quotations of that Starfield controller this week as well, which was just, some guy just made a Starfield controller, but just was posing it as a leak, of course, which was just funny to think about as well. But where's our Starfield controller? We need a Starfield controller too, Seth.
I really liked it too. I liked that mock-up quite a lot. I was like, that's a sleek looking controller.
Yeah. Although now that you said that, I kind of want an Xbox with little horns just sticking out of the top of it. I don't know why we don't have that yet, Seth. We kind of
blood petals on it,
Yeah. Good God. Or actually, I kind of missed, you probably remember this from the 360 days. I missed the custom consoles that made noises when you press the buttons on them, like the R2D2 Xbox, or I actually used to have the Call of Duty 3 Xbox 360, Seth, and it made like, the night vision goggle noise when you actually open the display and stuff like that.
Am I crazy? Wasn't there a Halo one that made like a plasma grenade?
There is a Halo Reach console that did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that console for a while too, as well, because I actually had multiple Xbox 360s. Because I told this story on the show before, but I actually went through 11 Xbox 360s back in the day because of either Red Ring issues or just disk drive issues. But And they kept sending me different consoles. So eventually got to the point where they started sending me special edition consoles instead of just the
Maybe one of these will work.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. All right. Let's get to the Game Pass games for the month, Seth, because, of course, it is that time of the month where you talk about the new games on Game Pass. Starting today, we got Loop Hero, which is, of course, I think brand new to Xbox, actually. It's been on other consoles before, but now it's on Xbox and it's on Game Pass out today. We've also got Iron Brigade out today. That's a game about tanks. And then on April 12th, Ghostwire Tokyo officially makes its way to Xbox from PlayStation. So it is, of course, a day-and-date release on Xbox on Game Pass. On April 13th, we are getting NHL 23. And then on April 18th, Minecraft Legends comes to the service, and it is also a day-and-date release. So lots of, some interesting stuff this month. I don't know if it's, the best month for Game Pass, because we got, it's a smaller batch of games, but I think, you've probably got some pretty good games in this list, Seth,
yeah,
I think.
I want to tell everybody, don't sleep on Iron Brigade. Good game. That's a Double Fine game.
Oh.
That is a mech tower defense kind of game by Double Fine, and it's quite good. I like it a lot. And I don't know if the servers are still up or whatever. I'm assuming they are since they're bringing it to Game Pass, but you can do online co-op with it too.
Okay.
And yeah, it's good. I liked it.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, again, I've just never played that game, so I might have to check that out at some point this week.
Oh, yes.
But the following games are leaving Game Pass on April 15th, and there is one notable exception that I'll actually get to after I'm done this list here. So, Life is Strange, True Colors, Moonglow Bay, Panzer Corp 2, Rainbow Six Extraction, The Dungeon of Nailbeck, The Long Dark, and The Riftbreaker are all leaving Game Pass on April 15th. So if you want to pick them up now while they're still on sale, or play them before, April 15th, now is your last chance. And I mean, to your point, Seth, don't sleep on Life is Strange True Colors either. I know that it's a bigger game, but it's also a game that I know not enough people played when it came out. That game's really, really, really solid.
Great game.
So I hope people actually check it out beforehand. Other than that, did you have any games from this list that you want to point out, Seth?
Yeah. Moonglow Bay is the current Backtrackers game.
Oh.
Backtrackers, for those who don't know, is the little video game book club that happens in the carpool gaming community. Links for the Discord always available. Free, friendly, welcoming Discord community for carpool gaming. And the Backtrackers, we meet up once a month. We basically all pick a game to play together. And Moonglow Bay is the current game. So if you've got Game Pass, you can grab that, play it. And then we're doing a meetup on the 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern to chat about it. So, yeah.
Nice. But yeah, otherwise, again, make sure to grab these games now while they're still on sale if you want to check them out, or again, check them out before April 15th. But there's a game I left off that list that, of course, Xbox fans are probably waiting for us to talk about. And of course, it's, in our thumbnail, we got to talk about this because Microsoft has removed Quantum Break, not just from Game Pass, because they originally just announced it was leaving Game Pass, but it's also been taken off the store for sale. And Remedy has indicated on Twitter that this game was taken down temporarily for licensing reasons, but it will actually return to both the store and Game Pass sometime in the near future, because Microsoft did make that big statement a long time ago, basically when Game Pass was, first created, that when they were going to start bringing their first party games to Game Pass, that they would never leave Game Pass. So you would just have them kind of in your library forever, ever, unless, of course, there was a licensing deal, like the Forza games being delisted. Those were the only reasons for Microsoft games to be removed from Game Pass. So this is the first time where we've seen a non-Forza game from first party being removed from Game Pass. So people were really worried about it, but it sounds like licensing with the TV show is basically the main point of contention, because for folks that haven't played Quantum Break, it's a game from Remedy, it's a third-person shooter that you play where in between the different chapters of the game, it plays clips from this TV show that they filmed, and there's actually full episodes that it'll play. It was a really interesting concept at the time, because it was trying to blur the lines between TV and video games. It's a game that I actually really recommend people play because it's a really good game. Me too. But yeah, so I think just either licensing with some of the actors or some of the other aspects of the TV show, I'm guessing, are what is at play here. But they haven't come out and said it either way. There's just some kind of licensing that's happening here. So Seth, what do you think about this Quantum Break being removed from the store.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I completely agree with you. Quantum Break, super underrated game. That game is actually really good. I mean, most Remedy games are. If you're a fan of Alan Wake, Control, then you're, you kind of know what you're getting into with Quantum Break. It's kind of in that, weird quasi sci-fi supernatural third-person shooter where the character has got some sort of supernatural powers. I really liked that game, and yeah, to your point, it was interesting the way that they wove in like the TV show with the sort of like game and blurred those lines, because they'd flirted with that in previous games, and even going back to like Max Payne, there's usually some kind of TV show in the game, radio channel or something in the game. Alan Wake had that. But this was like, no, we're going to actually just straight up record and film a television show. And I thought that was really cool and effective. And they also are no strangers to using like licensed music. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but hopefully it comes back sooner rather than later. That's a great game. More people should play that.
Yeah. And I will point out, they say temporarily, and it might, take a while to come back too. Because look what happened with the Metal Gear Solid games from Konami that were backwards compatible, where they said, we're just removing them temporarily for, music licenses, but they'll be back. That was a year and a half ago, and they're still not back yet. So,
oh my gosh,
you never know how long this stuff is going to take. I hope it's, back sooner than later. Because again, this is one of those games that, people should play. Like, I really think people should check this one out. Like, it's a game that a lot of people really slept on when it came out, and I think it's a really good game. It's like probably one of my favorite games from Remedy. So I am hoping it comes back at some point. And that TV show, really, really, really solid as well. So
yeah, it was solid. Get Sean Ashmore of Animorphs fame, Ryan.
Yes.
In that show.
Exactly.
So.
Good God. Of course, I bring Seth on, and of course the Animorph references start. That's how this works.
They're, you got to get it in somewhere, man. Got to talk about Animorphs. Any chance I can to bring up Animorphs, Ryan, I will take.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, shout out to Lance Reddick as well, also in that show.
Yes. Oh my gosh, R.I.P.
Oh man, he was so good in Quantum Break as well. So.
He's really good in it. Yeah.
Good God. All right. And then last but not least, we got to close the show. The news stories out on a sad note. ReedPop have announced that E3 2023 has officially been canceled. After this announcement, Microsoft took to Twitter to reconfirm that the Xbox presentation is still on schedule for June 11th at the Microsoft Theater in LA. Again, even though this news story actually feels kind of old, believe it or not, they didn't announce this until after last week's show. So I wanted to at least, briefly talk about it here. Because, of course, Sean and I have been, big advocates for E3 coming back. Because, we miss E3. I've still never gotten a chance to go. Like I kind of missed my window, in E3 2019. I was like, oh yeah, there'll be a next year, I'm sure. Like I'll go to E3 2020, at that point. And of course it's kind of been canceled ever since. So I was looking at this year being kind of the year to finally go to E3. And I kind of had all my ducks in the row to go, but unfortunately the show got canceled, which kind of makes me sad now officially. 'Cause, I was pretty excited to go to E3 this year, but alas, E3 is not happening anymore. But again, it still sounds like we're still going to get, all the news around that time from everyone, except for Nintendo. They kind of still are doing their own thing. Who knows when that direct will happen, I guess. But at least Xbox, we know it's going to be doing an event that week. I imagine we probably have some get-togethers happening still. Maybe Sean, Matt, and I maybe do something for the Xbox showcase this year. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's a little sad that E3 is gone.
I agree. Yeah, I have a lot of fondness and nostalgia for old E3, and I was hopeful. There are a lot of people who are kind of just like already ringing the death bells for E3 before it was time, and I was hopeful they were going to turn it out, but unfortunately, and there's probably all kinds of side conversations about what place E3 has in a modern age where people can just throw their own presentations and blah blah blah. But I am, to your point, like I did want to attend at some point in my life, and it's kind of sad that now that chance is probably gone. And I wish everybody all the best. It also kind of sucks, like people who have been dedicating a lot of their time and resources to preparing this event. Now all of that work has been shuttered, so that's always unfortunate too. It's a sad story, and
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley wasted no time
Yep. He's just
dancing on the grave.
Summer Game Fest is not canceled, was like the press memo that went out, when this news happened, of course. So, it sounds like Summer Game Fest is where we're going to get, all our gaming news at this point, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because, again, nothing against Jeff Keighley. I just don't personally love the spread out schedule that we kind of get with Summer Game Fest, where the news is kind of all over the place and we don't have like a specific week to work with. So there we go.
Yeah. I don't want a whole month of just like spread out sporadic.
I had to laugh a little bit because you said month, because last Summer Game Fest, it was like 3 months and it was kind of all over the place. So yeah, it's very silly. So yeah, I'm curious to know how that's going to work. Although maybe this spurs Jeff on to maybe do like a E3 style event, or maybe plan things more like E3 where things don't happen all over the summer. Like maybe condense it to a month at some point.
Give me just a week of just everybody has agreed upon this week where just it needs to be like co-parents or something like that. Like just we're agreeing upon this time to link up, and we're this is when it's happening. And I don't want to be like having to go through all these different events. Just give me a week where all the news is and just deliver it there.
Yeah.
We can agree on this. We can be civil about this.
Yeah. Then we can actually take time off and cover this stuff. Because
right.
Yeah. Who knows? Good God. Well, anyways, let's set some of our friends into the car with us. It is time for the carpool. So we're going to actually start with Half Thumb Gamer, who actually brings up a topic suggestion, but not so much a question. He brings up this video from Modern Vintage Gamer as well. So that's 2 MVG references in the same episode, which doesn't happen very often. Go check out Modern Vintage Gamer. He is an awesome YouTube channel. And one of the videos that he actually put up recently was you can actually store and play games on an external hard drive that are Xbox Series S and S games. Now, the reason why this is actually a news story or something that's interesting is because you're not supposed to be able to do this. You're able to store the games on like an external like hard drive, like a mechanical hard drive, but you're not supposed to be able to play the games off of it, because it's supposed to then prompt you to just copy the game or download the game to your console storage or to one of those expensive memory cards that, is from Seagate or Western Digital. We're waiting for the announcement, by the way, like of those Western Digital cards, which is why we haven't talked about that on the show yet. But it's interesting because there are certain games apparently like Sea of Thieves or Ark that are really big games that, take up a lot of space on your hard drive that'll actually play off like an external hard drive, but it'd still be the Series X or S versions. So I think this is actually interesting. I'm curious to know what like the list is, because again, this isn't really like an official thing. It's kind of, hey, we tried this and it works kind of thing.
Right. It happened to work. That's so interesting. And it's, I wonder like what the workaround, like what's the technical reason for why some games work and others don't? Yeah. Is it a file size related thing? That's interesting.
Yeah, because I wonder if it's somehow coded into the game itself. I don't really know. Again, if you want more information about it, I'm going to leave this YouTube link in the show notes or the description of this video, so you can go check it out for yourself, because I think, it's pretty interesting and cool that you got something available like this. Especially, again, if you've got a Series S, like you definitely this is definitely, probably something you want to look into a little bit more, since your Series S only has, 300 gigs of space on it. So you might want to...
That's like 2 games.
It is kind of like just 2 games. You're not wrong. But next up, we got Darstridius, who says, tell me where Silk Song is, and as well as all these other games that were featured in the next 12 months window that Microsoft gave us. Who can we still trust at this point, they say. Because, Silk Song was one of those games where they said it'll be out in the first half of the year. It's not out yet. Where's Silk Song? Where is it?
Ryan, I'm keeping the faith. I'm keeping the dream alive for Silk Song. Look, things happen. And things get delayed. I get it, especially right now, like the way development is for everybody in the modern age. It's difficult. And I do think that if Team Cherry isn't ready to go, if they don't feel like they're ready to go yet, they're not going to release it yet. But I'm keeping the faith, Ryan. I think it's still happening. I think we're going to get it in time. I think it'll be sometime this summer, and it might even be they might secure it to come back for their showcase, maybe a shadow drop. That would be massive.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of game where they don't have like a physical release day one, so they could just shadow drop it. It could just be the next Hi-Fi Rush where they just shadow drop it during the E3 presentation, whether it's at Microsoft or Nintendo's presentation. Like they could do just about anything with Hollow Knight Silksong at this point.
They can do whatever they want. Yeah. But it better come out this year because I've got it in 2 fantasy leagues.
Oh my God. At least you weren't counterpicked on it like we did with the trophy room last year, where we were like, you guys are stuck with this at this point.
Yeah, well, that was on them. Yeah, they shouldn't have bet on it. But I feel confident it is this year. If it doesn't make I think it's going to make the summertime. I think they're going to do it. But even if it doesn't, it must be this year. We have to keep the faith alive, Ryan. We got to believe in something.
Yeah,
we're living on a prayer here.
I actually think there's a 50-50 chance it doesn't even come out this year. So,
oh my gosh, don't tell me that, Ryan.
Okay, then I have to ask you this, Seth, because I've been hearing a lot of chatter about this. There's like a big keeping the faith movement that seems to think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out this year. So
shot.
Okay, so that answers my question. Because I say, what's more likely to come out this year, Hollow Knight Silksong or Metroid Prime 4 at this point?
There's not a chance Metroid Prime. I'm sorry. I love you all, and nothing would make me happier, but there's no shot Metroid Prime 4 comes out this year.
But imagine if it did, Seth. Imagine if Metroid Prime 4 came out this year.
That would be incredible. That would make me very happy, but there's no shot.
Yeah. Good God. All right, last question of the week comes to us from Bowza, who asked the question, if you were Phil Spencer, what would you put on your shelf to get the internet hyped up? So I would actually take a whole bunch of amiibo from Super Smash Brothers and put them on my shelf, and then just so that people are wild with speculation. Oh my God, is Smash coming to Xbox, or is Xbox creating its own Smash Brothers? Like, what's happening here? And just to drive people crazy. Or I would put a statue of Aya Brea from Parasite Eve on my shelf as well, to make all those Square Enix people who, like me, who love Parasite Eve, just go crazy and froth at the mouth, Seth. But
dude, if I were Phil Spencer, I would do that all the time. I would just put like random stuff on my shelf just to see if people. Phil Spencer, by the way, noted Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem fan. Mm-hmm. So like I would love to if he just put a copy of that on the shelf behind him and make the internet freak out. Ryan, there are a few original Xbox properties that would make me freak out if Phil Spencer acknowledged them in really any way. And I watched an interview with him related to Hi-Fi Rush recently, where he talked about Jet Set Radio Future, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And if he like had any sort of allusion to Jet Set Radio Future being available on modern hardware, I would lose my mind. And I also, as a quick aside, for when it comes to Phil Spencer, when it comes to Xbox love and making me freak out, there's a game that is on original Xbox, another of my favorites of all time, and I wanted to show a physical of my own, Ryan, Phantom Dust. For the original Xbox, I have this piece of artwork, which is from the original release of Phantom Dust. That is a phenomenal game that you actually can. It's the exact opposite of JSRF. You can play Phantom Dust on your Xbox for free, Ryan. Not even Game Pass. It's on Xbox and PC for free in 4K with multiplayer enabled, and it is a phenomenal, phenomenal game. Thank you all for coming to my TED Talk.
Very good, very good. Yeah, actually, I'm actually glad you brought up some original Xbox IP, because I mean, God, if Phil Spencer just put up a copy of Brute Force behind him, oh man, yes, that's
Gun
all we
Valkyrie
would be.
Or something,
yeah, or Fusion Frenzy. Leading to maybe a Fusion Frenzy 3 at some point. Oh, that'd be so good.
Why is that not a thing? Why don't they just some of that stuff? You should just bring it back in a Fusion Frenzy 3 I think would make perfect sense because Xbox has got all the little frustrations that people have with modern Mario Party, like why aren't you supporting this after you release it? I feel like Xbox could and inexpensively make a Fusion Frenzy 3 and just support it and add new games and characters to it. Oh, it'd be so good.
I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't done anything with Fusion Frenzy in a while. That it must indicate to me how bad maybe Fusion Frenzy 2 did on 360. That might, scare them away from it because, but I think like it's an idea that, makes a lot of sense nowadays. Like I'm actually kind of surprised they've never gone back to the well on something like that, or even like maybe making like a new Mech Assault game or something like that. Like that would be really interesting too. Like I'm actually kind of surprised they've never gone back to that well as well. God, we could probably talk about original Xbox like all day. So
that's my bread and butter, dude.
OG Xbox. So good. It's such a good console. And there are so many games too, to your point about Jet Set Radio Future that are kind of stuck on that console. I'm glad at least we got most of the heavy hitters backwards compatible. You've got your Panzer Dragoon Ordas, you've got Ninja Gaiden Black, you've got KOTOR, like a lot of the big games you've got there, but Jet Set Radio Future continues to elude us. Maybe because they don't know what to do if you put the combo pack version in that comes with Sega Rally
Sega GT
in there as well. Like maybe that'll break your system or something like that. So maybe that's why they don't do it,
because it boots to like a strange facsimile of the BIOS for Xbox, where it has like I think also some trailers for like Xbox launch titles on it as well.
Well, they did that with a bunch of bizarre games, like how you could play the Fusion Frenzy demo on Halo Combat Evolved and stuff like that too. There's a bunch of Xbox. In fact, actually, I think some of the backwards compatible games still have those. I'm trying to remember, I remember playing one backwards compatible game fairly recently that I'm blanking on the name of, that had all that. Like you could go into the trailers menu and they were all there still.
I love that original Xbox like design layout, that original like dashboard. I love it so much.
Yeah. And of course you can run it in 1080i and it still looks really good today if you have the proper cables for it. Yeah. Pretty cool.
People don't know that. Yeah. Good call.
Well, anyway, Seth, I think that's going to do it for this week's show. This has been a lot of fun. First of all, thank you so much for hopping in the car with us this week. I really appreciate it. For folks that don't know who you are or where could people find you on the internet, my friend?
Yeah, if you don't listen to the Nintendo Drive right here on Carpool Gaming, I'm one of the hosts of that show alongside Lockleth and the one and only Sean Capri. Talk about Nintendo every single week. This week we had Cheesy from Nintendo Powercast join Lockleth and I for a spoiler-free discussion on the Super Mario Brothers movie, so definitely check that out. And then you can also find me on Twitter at $2 Hero. Ryan.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, at YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So for Seth Sturgill, I am Ryan Turford. This has been episode 285 of the Xbox Drive. Only 15 more episodes until episode 300. And we're out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.